Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike here, the DRF race of the day for Saturday, January the 21st. Race number 8 at Santa Anita. It's 100 grander. The Astra Stakes for fillies and mares going 1.5 miles on the turf, 3 turns around the Santa Anita turf course. Let's take a look at this field of fillies and mares. Distance, a big question in this race, and the true X factor in this race is the horse ridden by the great Frankie Dettori. The number 5, Australia Mia, will be making her North American debut. She compiled an enviable record in her native Chile. She won 9 of 19 there.
Yeah, it's particularly good last year down in South America, Dan. Won a couple of group races down there. She ships up for her North American debut, and she does more than anything else. She doesn't face a very strong field here. I mean, it feels like if she's any good at all, this is a race that she could win.
I think that's a great point because you usually don't know what you're going to get with these horses coming from South America. We've seen many come over here and bomb, but if she can run at all, it appears she's found a great spot. And if she has any kind of early speed, she is even in a better spot. As we take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, the rare gray bar scenario, which in Timeform US parlance means no speed. And looking over the PPs, you can certainly understand why none of these horses really wants to go to the front.
Yeah, there's just no pace in the race. So certainly if the 5, who doesn't appear on that pace projector, I mean, if she can just be forward at all in this race, maybe she could even go to the lead here with the Dettori. Dan, if she doesn't have any speed, I really have no idea who's going to be cutting this pace.
The number 1, Warren's Candy Girl, is a restricted stakes winner going 1 mile. The distance is the biggest question mark for Warren's Candy Girl, who certainly fits on buyers' speed figures. Now, she was likely overmatched in the Grade 3 Robert J. Frankel last time out, going 1 mile and 1/8. She was last on the rail most of the way around, found moderate trouble in upper stretch, got to the outside, and was running on late. The connections are hoping this distance will be better for her.
It's a big question of whether she's going to improve stretching out. Maybe she will. I don't know, Dan. I guess if you were going to bet her, you would just hope that you're going to get a good price first, and then you could hope that she gets the distance. You know, I guess I thought she ran fine last time. Maybe it was just a race that she couldn't win anyway. She was over 50 to 1. I did think she ran on, pretty well late in that race. She was never a factor, but she ran on pretty well.
And she was in against a horse, Queen Goddess, who looked like much the best on paper and controlled the race on the front end throughout. The 2 is Lady Clementine. Class, the question for Lady Clementine. Is she a true stakes horse? Last time out in the American Oaks, maybe a little bit overmatched that day. She didn't have the cleanest of beginnings. I can understand anybody that wants to give her a mulligan, considering she's a lightly raced 4-year-old with only 10 starts, but is another that has to stretch out.
Right. She did win 2 back going 9 furlongs. The American Oaks last time. I don't know about you, Dan. I didn't really feel like she had that tough of a trip. I think if you read the short comment, it kind of suggests that she had some trouble in that race. I didn't think she did. I mean, she was sort of in and among horses for a long way, but Dettori had her clear at the top of the stretch, and she just didn't really do a lot of running.
Distance will be okay for the number 3, Queen of the Temple, who might be racing herself back into prime shape in this, her 3rd start off a summer vacation. She raced in the Grade 3 red carpet, going 11 furlongs last time out at Del Mar, and she ran quite well. She saved ground most of the way, got to split horses entering the final turn, eases to the outside here, and comes with a solid finish with an 89 buyer speed figure. You can make the argument, Mike, that if she runs back to this race, she's going to be a handful.
Yeah, that's all those things are true. I think, Dan, the distance seems like it works for her. She runs fine in this race. The winner just really never gave her a chance to get involved there through the stretch. But I thought it was a decent performance against a better field. I really liked the race 3 back going 11 furlongs. She just made a premature move in that race, made the lead in the stretch, couldn't hold off Duvet Day at the end. But I thought she ran really well that day. I think this is a pretty good spot for her.
Next door neighbor is the 4, Duvet Day, and I've always been a fan of this filly. I'm beginning to question whether she's truly stakes class. I didn't mind her performance when she beat Queen of the Temple. She didn't break very well. She kind of split horses and got into it when the pace really heated up, and she was able to still grind them down and win. But since then, it's sort of been in and out performances. She likes this distance. I think she's going to need some kind of a trip, however, and she doesn't appear to have any kind of tactical speed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if she can get the right trip in this race, because if she does, she's another horse who I just feel like you almost just because of the field she's facing, you kind of almost just have to look at her as a contender in here, Dan. The distance is no problem for her, and she's run races that are going to put her right in the mix if she can get the right trip.
The foreign invader is the number 5, Australia Mia, who had a 6-race win streak snapped last time out when second in a Group 3 in Chile. If this horse has any speed whatsoever, Dettori's going to utilize it, and if she can run it all, as you mentioned in the open, she's going to be tough. It'll be very interesting to see how this one gets bet. It might tell the whole story.
Yeah, true enough. And she is the morning line favorite, a slight morning line favorite. So, we'll just see what she does here. Then again, it's just, she's a little bit of a wild card, but it's just such a good spot. And her form down in South America just looks fine. She was good at a mile. She was good at 9 furlongs. She was good at 10 furlongs. She has a little bit of pedigree behind her. I mean, she's not hard at all to make a case for.
The great Johnny Velasquez picks up the mount on the 6, Almost a Factor, who's sure to be a price after finishing off the board in her last couple of races. First level allowance foes, weaker foes than the horses she's going to be facing on Saturday. She also hasn't been getting out of the gate very well in her last few, and it's almost imperative that she breaks with the field.
That's true. She is a horse who does have a little bit of tactical speed, though, Dan, when they decide to use it. So maybe she'll get the right trip. I don't know why she was so far back in her last 2 starts, but prior to that, they had her in pretty good positions in her races. So, we'll just see. I mean, obviously, just based on what she's done, she's got to find a way to improve a little bit in this race. I guess if she does, she could contend.
Distance the main question for the 7. 'Tis an Adventure. What a claim. They took this horse for $25,000 in April, and all this horse has done is win 6 of 7 starts, including the Miss America Stakes over the Tapeta surface at Golden Gate Fields. And we see in this race, 'Tis an Adventure, she was far back early. She came with a nice run. She blows by them in the stretch, and she's not just a synthetic horse. She's very capable on the turf as well.
Yeah, that's true. It is. I guess maybe it's at least worth noting that the only loss there during this winning streak did come when they tried her in a stakes race on the turf. I don't know if that means anything, Dan. She has distance questions to answer here. She's up in class again, but I won't sit here and knock her current form.
The 8 is Barrister's Ride, and this horse acts like she's going to appreciate the extra distance. I'm not sure how she will handle it, but she's been staying on in some of her races, sort of like a grinding type runner that might appreciate the extra ground, but she's taking a big step up in class. She was stakes placed behind Warren's Candy Girl going a mile, but she's been mired in that first level allowance condition ever since.
Yeah, I guess the positive with horses like Barrister's Ride and some of the others in here, Dan, is while they are, stepping up, I guess you would say, into a stakes race, it's not a strong stakes race. So if they can just, get the right trip in this race and handle the distance, I don't see why you couldn't, talk yourself into a horse like Barrister's Ride, who I agree with you. She kind of gives off the impression that she might want to stretch out a little bit.
Completing the bunch is the number 9, New Heat, who just didn't do much running in the Grade 3 Robert J. Frankel. She wasn't expected to. She was 121 to 1 that day based on being stuck in the second level allowance condition for a long time. So we have class concerns, we have distance questions, and we know she has no speed.
Yeah, all those things just really working against this horse. And it does feel like she lacks the upside. At least some of the other horses just sort of feel like they could keep improving and take steps forward. I don't really see much upside with this mare.
Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Saturday race of the day. Mike, Queen of the Temple, might be just the most proven horse at this distance. She's coming into this race in good form, and she's not the morning line favorite.
I mean, that's why I took her. Again, I won't be shocked when the 5 is, just turns out to be pretty good and wins this race, but I think Queen of the Temple makes a lot of sense in here.
I have to use Queen of the Temple in any kind of multiple race wager. I'm a little bit interested to see what we get from Warren's Candy Girl, maybe stretching out a little bit. She'll be able to show some tactical speed. The fractions should be glacial, and she was running on at the end of the Frankel last time out, so I do think she classes up. 3546 for Mike, 1369 for me. It's the Astra, the Saturday race of the day, and it's at the Great Race Place Santa Anita. Good luck.